Ace 5 is a fold. King 8 is a, it's kind of a loose open, but it's fine. With Ace 3 here, again, opening is a little bit loose, but, we're seeing somebody mark green that could be recreational, so I don't mind if you open raise. Obviously, be careful not to open raise a crazy wide range, but I don't think Ace 3 makes you crazy wide. Ace 8, meanwhile, you have to be careful not to limp too much here, because, you're paying rake, you're out of position to 2 people. I think with Ace 8, you can probably limp. And with aces, I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you what to do. When he tanks, you're always like, yes, 3-bet. And even now when I saw it, right, obviously didn't know. I was like, fuck yeah, we get 3-bet. If you get 3-bet with and you have aces and you don't want to get excited, maybe it's time to take a vacation, right? But even now, this is not my money, right? I tend to play a little bit higher than this on average, but I still get excited when we see aces. Aces here at 100 bigs, 4-betting seems like the play. So this player actually plays 34 VPIP. He's got, he's playing so loose that his VPIP is on fire, it looks like. I would still 4-bet. If you believe he's just crazy, 3-betting 6-5 off, and he always folds to 4-bets, go ahead and call. But we don't really have that read, so as a standard, go ahead and 4-bet. Meanwhile, any pair gets opened on the button at 100 bigs, so open pocket 3s. We don't have to go huge with our 4-bet. I've been reviewing some pluribus hands lately. It's this GTO solver, and it likes to 4-bet quite small in position. Alright, so ace 6, we know what to do. Just let it go. Pocket 3s here is pretty close. He 3-bet a little bit on the smaller side, but then again, we're paying high rake. We're facing nitty opponents, so I imagine, adjusting for rake, whatnot. Sometimes call, sometimes fold. Oh, wow. So most... when somebody, especially from China, somebody who could be a recreational player, 4-bets to, half his stack basically, I don't think he's folding. So I wouldn't go ahead and call here unless he's got queens and the flop's king high, and then maybe he finds a fold. I would just put it in. I would say you have definitely less than 10% fold equity. Against a lot of guys, you have 0. But I just said 10, just in case he's nuts. Aces. Kings, nice. King 3 suited, I like your open raise. Be careful because the big blind is a little bit short. And with 3s, I don't think we can call. Obviously, guys, you should never be paying insurance, right? So when I got back on GG not that long ago, actually, I never pressed the open button because I was afraid that you would have to pay money for it. But you'd have to double check, but I think it's free. We get called with King 3 suited here against a small blind. So when the small blind calls, he's going to hit this board, somewhat well. He's going to have hands like, King 10 offsuit, Ace 10 offsuit, Jack 8 suited, pocket 7s, maybe hand like as strong as Ace Queen, pocket 3s. So you can't just go crazy c-betting everything. King 3 of clubs with the backdoor flush draw is not the worst hand to do it with. But I would imagine that you might over c-bet there. And King 7 we could have opened. King 7 suited is a loose open raise, but I think again it's winning. On the 7th turn, I would have liked to see a little bit more of a tank, take your time a little bit, even though this hand is not the greatest betting hand, of course. But take your time, right? If let's say you have aces plus hearts, would you bet? Maybe. What if you got like Jack 6 of diamonds? Would you bet? Maybe, right? Think about it a little bit. Give yourself some time. Same as that Queen 6 hand. You immediately checked, and probably 5 seconds later, you were like, that was kind of a bad call by villain on the flop. Maybe I could have value bet. Right, but it doesn't matter what you think afterwards. All that matters is what you do in game. So, it's the same. If somebody shows, let's say you have blind versus blind, you have kings, and your opponent shows you aces, would you still go for it just because your chart tells you to? No, you would adjust, right? So in this case, you want to adjust as well. Be open-minded. And villain checks here on the 9. I don't think we rep an 8 extremely well. We can rep a hand like Jack 8 or maybe 10-8, maybe pocket 8s, but not so well. So then again, when villain checks here, it really looks like he just has pocket 4s, pocket 5s. I wouldn't hate if you bet here. Again, it's a little bit aggressive, but if villain just folds, then that's okay. Jack 5 we can open. So, your play doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? What are we even representing here? But actually, exploitatively, I don't mind this sizing. I think it's a bit too much. But, you know, you probably just thought, well, if I bet half pot, he calls any 10. If I overbet, he calls nothing. Which is very simplistic, but not the worst logic. So I actually don't mind this. Queen 7-3. We can have c-bets if we wanted to, but definitely not too many. Pocket eights would be a good c-betting hand because, you know, obviously there's a decent amount of value in our hand. At the same time, we also need a lot of protection, right? I mean, any 9 plus or spade is bad for us. I guess a queen is good for us because it makes it less likely that anybody has a queen. Meanwhile, we open Jack 5 suited. Obviously, it's not the greatest opening hand, but I do think it's winning. You know, you're using position against your opponents and the fact that they put in money blindly. Jack 5, again, you know, it's one of those, you've got some backdoors, you know, you've got 2 mediocre backdoor straight draws, you got a backdoor flush draw, you got an overcard. It's one of those hands, you know, again, if you always bet these hands, it's too loose. If you never bet them, it's too tight. Well, very happy you checked, I guess. Easy fold with the 8s. You could end up bluffing here if you wanted to. Villain is tanking quite long. That probably means, you know, he's got a decision to make. He's got a decent hand. He's thinking about it. Or like a decent bluffing hand. Jack 7-3 is kind of dry. We can be quite aggressive here. So actually we decided to bet large on the flop, which I don't even really mind. I mean, the board is quite dry and disconnected. You know, generally when boards are dry and disconnected, you want to be c-betting a little bit wider with a smaller sizing. And if the board is more draw heavy, if there's more relevant things going on, like flush draws, straight draws, 2 pairs, whatnot, then you want to size up a little bit and bet a bit less often. Now, King 10 is, you know, if you want to bet big, this hand is not bad to bet with. Now you block the 10-8 straight, you block Jack 10. You block King Jack. So I actually wouldn't mind if you ended up betting here. You've got a double gutter and no showdown value, and you've got a straight blocker. Obviously, you can go ahead and bet every single ace 10, king 10, queen 10, you know, maybe turn a hand into a bluff like 7-10. Obviously, you have to be a little bit careful with that. That's a nice river, and on this river, I would say value betting is too thin. We just got to check, especially with the clubs getting there. Villain can have so many hands like Jack 5 of clubs. This is a much tougher c-bet than, let's say, that Queen 6 would have been. So easy check behind, I would say. So I think the value bet is too thin. At the same time, I do like the fact that you made it because I didn't expect you to make it. So it shows that you are trying to find thin value in a lot of spots. So when Villain snaps, he's got 2 pair. Okay, 2 pair. Fair enough. And so on the turn, you saw you did a great job of blocking that hand, which was never going to fold.